Hi, folks. Welcome to the Pride of Detroit. I think we're doing a mini POD cast with this. We're also live on Twitch and YouTube. Look for Pride of Detroit on both those platforms and get it in here. Myself, I am Chris Perfett, the adequate host, the multimedia editor, since we're all giving ourselves titles now at Pride of Detroit, of Pride of Detroit. Find me on Twitter at Chris Perfett. With me, as always, Jeremy Reisman, the fearless leader and editor-in-chief, the EIC.
Got it.
The EIC of Pride of Detroit at Detroit Online. And we are reacting to not the first day of free agency. This is the tampering period, Jeremy. Nothing's official yet. Tamper, tinker, tamper.
I'm going to call it the first day of free agency. Damn the rules.
This is weird.
Damn the formalities. This is when the action happens. Wednesday, everything's just going to be like teams posting pictures of people signing pieces of paper that we already knew they were going to sign.
Which we were doing already beforehand, too. Like, free agents, nobody wants to wait for free agency anymore. Everyone wants the cat out of the bag. Guys were signing deals as soon as the Super Bowl, Stafford and everything else before the Super Bowl, right? Like,
I don't know. That one hasn't happened yet. You know what? I'm just going to say that one hasn't happened yet. There's still 48 hours for the Lions to back out of it.
2 more days. 2 more days, folks. Enjoy him for 2 more days. But he's already in Kobo and moving everything out wherever he's going to live out in Bel Air. So Jeremy's just in denial. Well, let's talk about what the Lions have been doing so far because, first off, Jeremy, we need to start with the biggest news of free agency. You biting on a fake Ian Rappaport tweet.
It was a chain reaction. First it was Meinke, then it was Eric, then it was me.
Oh, okay. So it's like
it's not my fault.
Just because those guys didn't do their homework,
Yes.
It excuses you.
100%.
This is like in high school. If you try pulling this in high school, it's like a bunch of other kids didn't do the homework, and you didn't do the homework too, and you're just hoping that the teacher's like, you know what, enough of you didn't do it, so F it.
You're so gleeful right now that I was as adequate as you for
Yes.
one weak moment.
Yes, I am. You know, we got to spread the adequacy around. But, that's not happening, whatever the tweet was. We won't spread information here. But the big news of the day, I think, to start out in our tampering, where do you want to start? Do you want to start about the Lions haven't been landing a lot of guys. Spoiler alert.
But
we
have to start with
that.
Okwara, right? Like we knew they were going to do.
Yes.
They weren't going to do that. What we didn't know is whether they were going to re-sign Romeo Okwara because they didn't give him the franchise tag, and it was kind of like it was all quiet on the front end. It seemed like he was headed towards free agency, and lo and behold, right after the clock turned over noon, Lions didn't announce it, but it was released that they're going to re-sign Romeo Okwara. Again, not official. They can make it official whenever they want because you can sign your own players right now. But
right. And that's kind of the big news of the day is 2 players who have re-signed and a lot of players that we kind of expected out the door and some that we haven't. And yeah, Okwara is the great place to start because, Jeremy, they didn't hand him the franchise tags. It was a risk he was going to leave in free agency. Instead, they've handed out a 3-year deal worth up to $39 million. I believe $20 million of that is guaranteed, a $14 million signing bonus. And most of it is actually $26 million over the first 2 years. So we're averaging around like $13 million a year and fully guaranteed until 2022. But I'm happy with the signing. I really am. Like, Okwara has been productive the 2 out of the last 3 years. He's going to be able to have some interesting time to spend with his brother still in Detroit. And, he had a chance again without the franchise tag to walk out the door, and he's got a pretty good deal. It's not a long-term deal by any stretch of the imagination, but it's good money for a guy who the first few years of his existence in the NFL was struggling to kind of move between rosters and stay on rosters. And even here, we kind of worried after 2018 how much that was a flash in the pan. 2019, you worried about that it was a flash in the pan, and then 2020 he rebounds.
Yeah, I mean, first off, just from like a human level, this is an awesome story for Romeo Okwara. There's a guy who was not drafted, a guy who's kind of cast aside in New York, just a waiver wire pickup by the Lions that everyone's like, this is interesting, but this is a guy who had never had more than I think 3.5 or 4.5 sacks before he landed in Detroit, and he's really the one clear success story that the Lions under Bob Quinn and Matt Patricia had on defense. Like you said, that 2018 season it felt like fool's gold, 7.5 sacks. I think people were just like, that he's not really getting consistent pressure. It was just, sack numbers are fluky sometimes, and that one felt like a fluky year. And then when he had a bad 2019 season, you're like, yep, fluky year. Comes out this year on an absolute tear, takes over for Trey Flowers when he was dealing with all those injuries, was not expected to have anything more than a rotational role. Came out, played like a bona fide starter, 10 total sacks, leading most pass rushing categories in terms of pressure rates in the top 5 or top 10 almost across the board, no matter what advanced site you're looking at there. So the deal is interesting. It's honestly a little bit more than I thought the Lions would be willing to spend. It's about what I think I expected him to get in free agency. Maybe a little bit more because you look at some of the deals that pass rushers are getting right now. Matt Judon got paid up the wall by the Patriots. $13 million a year is not a bad deal for a pass rusher. There's just a lot of questions of what kind of pass rusher the Lions are getting, because in my opinion, statistically he's been effective for 2 out of the last 3 seasons. I think he's only been good for 1 season, but the dude's 26. He didn't have any help around him last year, and he still produced 10 sacks and was really kicking ass by himself out there. So, if he reaches his full potential of what he showed, if he can show what he did in 2022 consistently for at least 2 of the next 3 years, the Lions got a steal. I'm just not so sure he's that guy yet.
Yeah, the thing too is that it's a short deal. I wonder how much 2 things hurt him. One is that, again, the fluky seasons, but also in that, again, it's his background at the end of the day. And we're going to talk about some guy who's probably getting a little more of a benefit because of his background. But where you come out in the draft absolutely hurts or helps your reputation across the league, how long guys want to deal with you. And for Okwara, who, as you say, he was undrafted, that probably, if he went out to the open market, would have still hurt his value, regardless of how well he can play for you. So you're getting at least a good deal in Detroit, and you're giving him 3 years, which I don't know if he'd get that anywhere else. He'd probably get a shorter deal. But, if he plays well in those 3 years, he's going to come out around 29. He's going to be, if he's in a good shape, then he's going to get an even bigger deal out of that, I feel like. But a lot of the money, too, is, as I said, about half of it is going to be guaranteed. So yeah, that's all fantastic for him. And, I've been banging how long on the table, Jeremy, to have a damn pass rusher. At least produce something,
Yeah, and it's a young guy. It's a young guy.
Yeah, in the 26.
If the edges are Romeo Okwara and Trey Flowers next year, and Trey Flowers can stay healthy, that's a better position than the Lions have been on the edges in a while. And that's not even including guys like Julian Okwara, who, another kind of winner in this signing is that now the Okwara brothers are together, and I think Julian's going to really appreciate that. And I don't know how much longer we can cross our fingers for Austin Bryant, but you have a bunch of young guys on that defensive line now, and even if just half of them hit the potential that you're hoping, you're not bad. You're not in a bad position.
Yeah, and Julian still hasn't seen the field yet, so hopefully you get to really, see what he can really do coming up here too, and then we can start memeing and making Super Mario Brothers memes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about the other big signing Lions made. Well, re-signing Jalen Reeves-Maybin. A bit of a surprise here, but he has re-signed for a quick 1-year, $2.4 million deal. However, only I think about just north of $1 million is going to count against the cap because of the veteran salary benefit. Jeremy, what is the veteran salary benefit?
So it's a complicated thing. The Lions actually used it on Miles Killebrew last year. It's a way to reward teams that carry a player around for 4 consecutive years but don't want to commit to them long term necessarily. So you hand Jalen Reeves-Maybin a deal that's going to pay him out pretty good. A 1-year, $2.4 million deal, given that he's just been a special teamer, that's not a bad deal for him. But to reward the Lions for kind of, keeping it in-house, they can use this veteran kind of stipulation on 2 players per year, where he only basically counts against the veteran salary minimum against the cap. So Reeves-Maybin will still get that $2.4 million, and I believe it was reported that it's all guaranteed. So that's in his pocket already, essentially. but against the cap, it's only going to cost less, about half of that. So that makes it kind of a no-brainer to me, to be honest. And we had heard rumors earlier, late last week, that said, the Lions were probably interested. I think it was Josina Anderson who first said it. Special teamer, been great on special teams for the past 2-3 years. I mean, if you can get a guy like that for $1.1 million against the cap, do it. Not to mention, and maybe this is a little finger crossing, maybe this is a little rose-colored glasses, he fits better defensively than he did before. He's an undersized, fast guy who can cover at least moderately well when it comes to tight ends and dropping into coverage and things like that. That was not valued under Matt Patricia. He wanted his guys big and bulky. Speed and coverage is going to be kind of at the forefront of what the Lions want in their linebackers. So I think I don't think he has a chance to start necessarily, but he could be a rotational guy, or he could be a guy that steps in because of injury. He's not just going to be a guy that's active only to be on special teams and not even being thought of as a defensive linebacker. So it's interesting.
I think it's a depth body. I think the big thing, again, is that veteran salary benefit that does make him look, the Lions are going to have to really be careful about what they're doing with the cap this year, especially with some of these contracts they still have to sweat out. And, they've done well to cut some cap, but the fact that you're signing a guy who should be worth, $2.5 million to only just north of $1 million against the cap, that helps. That helps just a little bit. It's a little drop that's you're saving $1.5 million pretty much against the cap.
Yeah, it's huge. And the Lions are still going to have to figure out some things with their linebacking core, and we'll get into a second maybe why. But yeah, this is a good depth signing. It essentially costs the Lions nothing. I mean, $1 million deal is nothing. So, and you're going to get a special teamer out of it that's been good.
Now we get on to move on to the rest of the team, with the rest of the stuff, which is basically a lot of guys who did not re-sign with the Lions. And I think we divide this up into two categories, Jeremy. We've got guys who have not signed anywhere yet and guys who have signed places. And I think the big one, and I think probably the most surprising one for me, is Jared Davis, because we saw a lot of hullabaloo from the new Lions coaching staff at how much they like Jared Davis, right? Dan Campbell talked about how much he likes Jared Davis, all of the tools Jared Davis has. And just like we were talking about with Okwara, the fact that he was an undrafted free agent, I feel like kind of hurts him no matter what negotiation he is in. Jared Davis's background as a first round draft pick will ultimately always help him.
Yeah.
And that's what we were looking at for Davis coming into this year. I mean, coming into this free agency period. And I think, we were all sitting around, we were saying yeah, it sounds like the Lions are going to re-sign him just because of how much the coaches are talking about him. Nothing happens. And then he's out now. He has signed a 1 year, $7 million, up to $7 million with the New York Jets.
Yeah, I look at this one and I think maybe this was Jared just being like, you know what, can I at least see free agency lines? I don't feel like agreeing to a deal with you, because
that's a reasonable thing for guys to want to do.
You spend 4 years here, you see a lot of not success, you see a lot of fans drag you weekly on Twitter. Maybe you're just like, I need a fresh start. Maybe my career needs a fresh start. And sure, he maybe could have had a fresh start here with a new coaching staff, but I think a true fresh start might be with someone else in a different city. And I mean, I don't want to judge the contract details too much on its surface because we don't know the breakdown, but 1 year, $7 million seems like kind of a lot for Jared Davis. Lions fans would have blown a gasket if the Lions signed him to a $7 million deal.
Yeah.
And again, we don't, it could be highly incentivized. We don't know. I would guess that it is, but I feel like this is an instance in which the Lions probably got boxed out in terms of the amount. The Jets have a ton of money. And so the Lions just weren't going to match that, and they probably shouldn't have.
Yeah, and listen, he's going to go play with Robert Saleh, and maybe Saleh outweighs the stink of playing for the Jets. I'm not going to count on it, though, and I'm certainly not going to count on calling him a premium defender. Right. As several people, not just Ian Rappaport, but I believe I saw Mike Florio as well. Kind of, again, this is the difference between when you're an undrafted free agent like Romeo Okwara coming out of college versus a first round draft pick like Jared Davis. there's always going to be someone out there willing to break you off a bunch of money because they think they can fix you.
Yep.
And I just don't think that all that potential's there at the end of the day. Like, I looked at his numbers, like he couldn't start last year. Maybe he can start with them, but you're talking of like Robert Saleh has to fix this. He has to fix tackling problems, and he has to
mental processing. I don't know how you fix that.
Jared Davis wanted to be good in coverage last year, and he had 12 instances. He was 12 targets allowed. I mean, 12 receptions allowed on 12 targets. Yeah. Like 100%.
Well, I mean, there must be something on the tape out there that is attracting people because, like you said, like Dan Campbell looked at the tape and was like, I see the potential in this guy. He just needs to get out of his own head. The problem is everyone already knew that. The coaching staff knew that. That, like, I know we're all trying.
Knew that.
I know we're all trying to trash the former coaching staff about how they ruined a bunch of good players like Deshaun Hand and Tracy Walker and blah blah blah. But like Jared Davis has gone through a couple coaching staffs now. He's gone through a couple defensive coordinators, defensive coordinators now. Everyone knows the problem is between his heads, and he's got all the physical tools to do it. But the problem is this like bravado from coaches that just think I'm the one that's going to fix him.
Yes,
I'm the smart guy.
That's all it is.
Nope. I'm sorry, Jets. I don't think this one's going to work out.
Yeah, I enjoy it. If he plays well, that's great. But
sure.
I'm not going to.
He's a great guy, and that's the one thing I think the Lions are going to miss. Everyone in that locker room loved Jared Davis.
Yeah, he was always a good leader. So we'll see. Just see how it goes. And yeah, maybe Saleh leans on him as a leader. Who knows? Sure. Like, they're trying to do something in New York. I'm just not seeing it, and I'm, it sucks. But $7 million, whew, that's a lot. Jamal Agnew was the other curious signing from the day. So I was hoping the Lions would retain Jamal Agnew, and instead he has signed a 3-year deal with the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's good. He's going to a great. Urban Meyer is a very, I don't know if he's a respected pro coach yet, but he's a very highly anticipated pro coach right now. What got a lot of Lions fans' eyes popping out, though, was they saw that it was 3 years, $21 million. Now, we need to clarify that because just like rewinding off screen here for a second, Jeremy was losing his mind at the Taysom Hill extension from the other night. But because he saw was like, $140 million extension and was trying to do the math in his head. This is also creative math here with Jamal Agnew. It is massively incentive-laden. Is massive. No,
it's very different from the Taysom Hill in that the Taysom Hill deal is just funny money on voided years. This one it's up to $21 million, which again, probably highly incentivized. It is a very incentive-laden deal.
It is very incentivized.
The problem is we can't just look at the $21 million thing and jump to conclusion. It's the one thing we have to every free agency we can't overvalue the first numbers that come out because it might be different. That being said, I was expecting something in like the $3 to $4 million range at most, and maybe that's eventually what he'll get. Maybe that's what his first year cap hit is going to look like, but. It's still big numbers, even if it's incentive later. That's big numbers for a special teamer, and you have to wonder, does Urban Meyer have a bigger plan for him in offense?
I think he does. No, I think at that value he does. Yeah. And Urban Meyer likes guys who are versatile, who can do a lot of things, and he always had good special teams at Ohio State. So I don't think the Jags necessarily overpaid unless we see the deal and it's not as incentive laden as I think, but it's clear they don't see him as just a kick returner. This is kind of almost another prove it deal where it's like, we're going to sign you this much money because we think you're more than a kick returner.
Yeah.
We could see maybe being wide receiver 3, maybe even wide receiver 2 out of you.
That would be a surprise to me. I mean, he's going to be a slot receiver. So, I mean, I suppose he could challenge for the starting slot receiver job, which I don't know. I think we all wanted to see more of it last year and we didn't get to see more of it. The interesting connection there is Darrell Bevel's now down there in Jacksonville. So maybe he has
that might be
more
a big,
freedom.
Big problem too.
Sure.
Well, I mean, that might be the reason too. He went there too, is like,
it probably
playing with the offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
So I don't know. This one hurt a bit just because I'd like to see Agnew back because, again, versatile guys like that are always helpful. I just think the Jags blew him out of the water with their price point.
Yeah, I mean, I was hit or miss on bringing Jamal Agnew back. I don't really believe the value in a good punt returner is that much, to be honest. I feel like in today's NFL, with all the punt return and kick return rules that pretty much incentivize fair catches or taking knees and things like that, you really only get 20, 30 plays out of your punt and kick returner a year. And that's not a lot. That's not enough to pay $7 million a year's worth, even if you have the best punt returner in the league, which you could make an argument that Jamal Agnew is. But he is about to turn 26, so he's young. He still has time to develop into this wide receiver role. We do have to point out, like, last year was the first year he went through a full offseason as a wide receiver. So, yeah, maybe that potential is still there. I have to believe Urban Meyer sees something bigger than that. I'm just not a guy that's ready to proclaim him as ready to be a big offensive weapon yet.
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe it's just different down in Jacksonville. Maybe they're a little more desperate, or maybe, again, it's just what he checks the boxes for Urban Meyer. But I want to take a quick break here on the podcast. I want to play a little. If you're watching on Twitch and YouTube, we'll answer some of your questions here. And then on the other side, we have a release to talk about, and then some swings and misses for the Lions, and a very interesting thing happening with one position in free agency that is very baffling to me, and I don't think anyone was anticipating it. We'll tell you about what that is next on the Pride of Detroit PODcast. Okay. I might as well start this session by saying I know people are unhappy with the SB Nation blurb, that was the SB Nation podcast blurb that was put on the feed. We don't really have control over that. We've just agreed to allow them to do that because it gets us downloads, and they send us whatever is Lions related. I haven't listened to it. I apologize if you guys are upset about it or think it's unfair. But
yeah, John, we are gonna have to talk about that in the break because it is wide receivers, and yes, the dominoes are starting to fall.
It's called a tease, Jeremy.
But Corey Davis has just signed a deal. Nelson Aguilar has already signed a deal. The dominoes are starting to fall.
Aguilar did. Okay.
Yes. So we might have to throw that one in the trash, but we'll see.
We might. It's starting to, well, there's still some big names there, including two who were Lions who have still not signed anywhere.
True.
And that's kind of the big part to go into. Right. But yeah, I'm curious to see where some of these other names.
And Kendrick Bourne, who I'll be honest, I know nothing about, but signed a pretty significant deal with the Patriots. Let me go through the alerts really quick before we answer some of your questions, because we got a whole bunch of alerts.
We started with a $5 donation from Super Chat with Apex.
No, I think those were just.
Is that old?
Those are old. I don't know why they keep jumping back up on the feed, but yeah, those are old. All right, let's go. Let's start first at where are we at? Tay White with a 3-month subscription. Gus Bus subscribed with his Prime. R. Dorenzi with the Twitch Prime as well. Then CJ Craig gifted a sub. TJ White, or Tay White, I should say, gifted a sub. Troy Barnes with the 4 months. CL41106X with the Twitch Prime. And I think we're caught up there. And a bunch of follows in between there. Thank you for all of you that are following on Twitch for the first time. Welcome. If you haven't watched us before, we do podcasts several times a week now. Even during the off season, we do some other fun stuff here. We had Deuce Staley on the podcast last week on Friday.
Big.
So we like to have some big guests here that we do Q&As. And Jesus, Lions with the 5 gifted subs. Still scares me, even though it's not that loud anymore. Even though I turned down the volume. Thank you. Appreciate you, Lions, with the 5 gifted subs. Bournes has bad hands, does he?
I saw some people saying that he was pretty good. Yeah, Big Facts is like Bourne was actually pretty good last year for San Francisco. I don't know. Someone can share what is playing that is upsetting people on the podcast. So I haven't listened to it. I guess maybe some people think, thank you, CJ Craig, and the 5 gifted subs to the stream there. But from what I understand, they're Jared Davis. Like, I just saw the comments earlier. Someone was upset that they weren't very charitable to Detroit.
Yeah, so if you go to our podcast feed on Apple Podcast, you'll see, I think.
From the SB Nation NFL podcast, it should be listening. It's like a 5-minute clip or whatever.
Episodes. Okay, yeah, so like at the top of my podcast feed, you can see the other ones. I don't know why it's backwards, but you can from the SB Nation. It automatically gets put on your feed if you're subscribed to us on certain platforms, maybe all the platforms. So
all the platforms as part of the feed itself. Yeah.
Yeah. So we don't have a ton of control over that. I would just recommend if you see them and I mean if you like it, listen to it. Please listen to it. I mean we benefit when you listen to it. But if you don't like it, then just pass over it. I won't
understand that it's coming from a national perspective.
Yeah.
And as much as you guys would like, I mean, we do a lot to ask to massage you guys in, because we're local guys, and I've worked in both national and local, and let me tell you, on the national stage, like, it's not that they don't know less, but they're not going to sugarcoat it for you guys, and they're going to be really harsh, especially
they don't know as much. Let's be honest, Chris. They don't.
No. The bandwidth is limited.
Yes,
the bandwidth is a little more limited. It doesn't mean that they don't know as much. It does mean, however, that they have to be shorter about their time. It doesn't mean they're not going to get into the nuance. And sometimes something will fall off the board. Like, I mean, just it's what happens.
I mean, when you're a national radio audience, you have 32 NFL teams to cover, as well as 32 NHL teams and 30. Yeah, I mean, you're naturally not whatever. You're naturally not going to know as in depth as local people. It's just that's why there is a local beat. So that you can have more in-depth stuff.
It's not even like I've seen national guys who do know as much as local guys sometimes, but guess what? Sometimes, like, it's also you're playing to an audience who, if you say like, "Hey, the Lions were good last year," they're going to call, like, those guys in New York are going to call you an idiot, because guess what? They only see it's good to go against your audience's expectations sometimes. But if I tell you guys right now, "Hey, I think the Jets are going to be good," you're going to call me an idiot because you don't know anything about the Jets, but you think the Jets suck.
Yeah, exactly. And that's right. The national stage guys call Jared Davis a premium defensive talent.
Well, I mean, those are beat guys. Those are guys who are supposed to know what they're talking about, though. Those aren't me. Those aren't like the weird hot take sports radio guys. We weren't calling Jared Davis premium talent.
By the way, Flair 149 with the 3 months in a row. He says 3 awesome months. Keep up the awesome. Thank you. Keep up the awesome as well as our entire audience. By the way, I think we have over 200 people watching on YouTube, over 150 on Twitch.
That's right.
Appreciate all of the eyes, the views, the likes, the subscriptions, the follows, all of that. And if you haven't yet, hit that follow button right there. That way you get notifications every time we go live. We're probably going to go live pretty much any night, I think, in which there's any Lions action. So, if Kenny Galladay gets signed. What?
I said I have to work a lot this week. Oh, my God. I know we did talk about maybe doing a Wednesday longer stream, just, chilling out here as we wait for the league calendar year to roll over. Countdown, but
I'm trying to see if Twitch chat is lying or not.
By the way, I do want to tell you guys about if you're enjoying Twitch chat right now, you should join a permanent chat as well. If you I believe if you can type in ! in either YouTube,
Discord, or you kind of slipped up there for some reason,
or Twitch, excuse me, Jared, and you can join the Pride of Detroit Discord, soon to be featuring some new features overnight, and we have plenty of time to talk with people. We have plenty of good chat on there about everything that happened during the free agency. So if you want this all the time, join the Discord.
Okay, Twitch chat was lying. Curtis Samuel has not been signed anywhere.
Do you fall for?
I didn't fall for anything. I researched before I looked, before I even addressed it. Okay, let's jump back into this.
Yeah, I'm just seeing some.
We should probably cool it on the wide receiver talk, because I feel like everything's falling right now with the Corey Davis and the Nelson Aguilar deals.
I'm trying to see what's happening.
We can talk about Kenny Galladay for sure, and Marvin Jones.
Yeah. We'll make mention, but I think at least some of the targets we have talked about are on my list too. That is like still people the Lions could sign as well. So I do want to still talk about. But that's like the final note there too. We've got to get to Dahl and John Jones.
Oh, poor Twitch chat. There's a guy named Bro Dahl. He says, "I guess I'm gonna have to change my. Guess I'm gonna need a new username." God. That's a good username too, Bro Dahl. I like it.
Is Romeo our only sign? No, the Lions also signed Jalen Reeves-Maben, but that's really the only two. And I mean, if you want to count on it, the Josh Hill signed, not official yet, but he's up on.
No, Josh Hill's official.
He is official.
Josh Hill is official, and so is Tyrol Williams. Yeah, Tyrol Williams actually met with the media today, and I believe we're going to hear from Josh Hill shortly as well. So,
yep. But that's really about it. I did see some money, or at least I saw someone saying that Prater sounds like he might be going to Arizona.
Yeah, that, and we should probably talk about that a little bit, maybe.
Yeah, we'll talk that. Yeah,
but that was Burkett that said it's very soft language, so it's not, he's not necessarily gone.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Yep, I'm good. And welcome back to the Pride of Detroit PODcast mini podcast for here reacting to Tampering Period recap, the first day of Tampering Period. Tamper. We've covered Agnew, we've covered Davis, we've covered Jalen Reeves-Maybin, we've covered Romeo Okwara. One interesting thing that came was a cut. The Lions not signing away, but cutting someone. That would have been offensive lineman Joe Dahl on an injury designation. I believe the Lions, from what I understand, he failed physicals.
Yep.
And the Lions cut him. This is kind of this is a trick I've seen other teams do before, because if you don't cut him within a certain period of time, I think you have to go to a injury settlement. And I believe they avoided on this. Yeah. However, cap terms, the Lions do save, I think, around $2.9 million. I've seen lower for this year, but I believe it's 2.9.
It's 2.875. Yeah.
Okay. No, I saw much less. I saw Rothstein saying something like 1.6 million for.
No.
Okay.
2.875 million. The injury designation is a little strange, but I in terms of what it saves the Lions, it's irrelevant. It's fine. It's he was dealing with back and I think knee injuries last year. He missed the season finale with a back injury. This one's a tricky one. I kind of reluctantly included him on my cap casualty list because I think he provides good versatility. He's not a great player. But he was the team's backup center. Essentially, he's a guy who could play all of the interior positions and maybe, in a pinch, even play some tackle. And the Lions don't
graded very low last year.
Yeah, and by the end of the season, he was essentially replaced by Ode Ibushi. But Ode Ibushi is a free agent, so now the Lions, well, who's their depth there? Who's their starter there? Again, we have to come back to the question: Is Halapoulivaati Vaitai a guard or a center? Or I'm sorry, a guard or a tackle? If he's a guard, well then the Lions probably need a tackle. If he's a tackle, well then the Lions need a starting guard, because I don't know. I don't think they're expecting Logan Stenberg to be that guy right out of the gate in 2021.
No.
And either way, they need depth. So at this point, I guess I'm kind of expecting a re-signing of Ode Ibushi, because I don't know really where else they go with this. Maybe they add some depth in the draft. One thing that's kind of interesting about the Ibushi situation is that right when the morning kicked off, I think it was before even free agency opened, Ode Ibushi tweets out something like, "It's going to be an interesting week, #free agency." And less than a minute after he tweeted it, he deleted it. And so I'm not sure what that was all about, but it leaves them kind of in an interesting situation in terms of their offensive line depth, because I think that was one of their better situations. But now with Joe Dahl, it's a little less impressive.
Yep. Let's see. The other big thing came. Now this is we're getting to the part of the podcast where we don't have too much right now on the meat for the Lions, but there was at least one big swing and miss, Jeremy.
Yep.
In that, I think at least us here at Pride Detroit, we were looking at John Johnson as someone that the Lions could maybe target. And he's not going to the Lions. He's going to the Browns. He's getting, I believe, 3 years, about $24 million guaranteed. But it takes a very big safety off the market for the Lions. And it's part of a larger problem where the safety market itself is very thinning out. But first, before I go to that, thoughts on John Johnson. Like, Lions could have probably used someone like that, but I think with that kind of money too, it's again outside of what the Lions can really spend right now.
Yeah, again, it's something where we'll have to see the breakdown of it, but the Lions were in on John Johnson. There were reports that they were one of 4 teams that were interested in him, that were pursuing him. And yeah, they absolutely needed him. They could absolutely have used him. They don't have a starting safety necessarily on the roster. They don't have one for 2022 because we're entering the final year of Tracy Walker's final deal, and I don't think anyone's looking at Will Harris as a guy that you want to rely on going forward. So he's a guy that would have brought experience, leadership, would have known the system that the Lions are going to try to run with the split safety thing they're going to do in the secondary. So I think this is, I mean, everyone in Detroit, every analyst was like, this is the guy that makes absolutely the most sense in terms of need, in terms of fit, in terms of maybe a price tag. Now, $11+ million a year is a lot, but what's interesting about this story, and we have no idea if this pertains to the Lions or not, but Cleveland.com is reporting Mary Kay Cabot or Cabot, I'm not sure how you pronounce her last name, Cabot. She says that Johnson turned down, quote, significantly more money to join the Browns. Now, it just makes you say, You have to imagine that John Johnson did have a lot of motivation to come here. He would be rewarding the guy who took a chance on him in Brad Holmes, the guy who drafted him. He'd be reuniting with Aubrey Pleasant while, Aubrey Pleasant was a cornerbacks coach in Los Angeles alongside John Johnson. But, the cornerbacks coach is certainly going to have some chats with the safeties as well. So there would be familiarity there. There'd be kind of loyalty there if he wanted to go with Brad Holmes, but he obviously chose elsewhere. And again, I don't know if the significantly more money was coming from the Lions. I think there were other teams that had a lot of cap space in on him, so it'd kind of make more sense if it was one of those teams. But this is a rough one to lose because what really hurts to me, at least, is that the safety market is just so thin now because 3 guys got franchise tag, 3 safeties got franchise tag. Rayshawn Jenkins, which I think was a lot of people's backup plan, he signed with the Jaguars. And so now you're left with a bunch of kind of like old guys. Like to me, LaMarcus Joyner is the guy I'm circling. And hopefully he hasn't been signed by the time I finish the sentence. But he was a guy, again, drafted by the Rams, went to the Raiders. His career did not go well with the Raiders. They kind of misused him. They put him as a nickel corner, and he can play nickel corner, but they cut him already. So he's been on the free agency market for about a week. I think he played his best ball as a safety for the Rams. So I think there's a chance the Lions kick the tires back on that, but that's a risk. It's not. It's more like a high ceiling, low floor kind of guy. So he's the guy I'm looking at, but the Lions are kind of in a rough position right now at safety.
The other target that could probably go to safety that I've had my eye on is DJ Swearinger, but he's going to be, I think, pushing 30. He's going to hit 30 this year. He's gone with a lot of different teams. I know he's been flashy. He has the Saints connection, but he was only there for, I think, like a couple years as it is. He's bounced around a lot in his career, in spite of being a second-round draft pick. He has flashes, but ultimately he's just got a bit of a ceiling on him that, maybe the Lions kick the tires on it right now, but as you said, like there's not a lot going on right now. I think you said 3 other big safeties were given franchise tags. It's going to drive up, I think, the market price on a lot of these guys. Sure. So I don't know. I know Brad Holmes likes his depth at safety. I just don't know if he's going to really get it right now.
He likes the depth in the draft. That's the other thing. Is that he said when asked, what he liked about this draft class, he said the safeties, which was I think actually came as a surprise to a lot of people. So maybe he's got his eye on the next John Johnson in the draft. Maybe the Lions sign some guy or draft some guy in the 3rd or 4th round who becomes the next John Johnson. But yeah, Swearinger is an interesting name because he'll bring leadership and he, again, knows the system, knows Aaron Glenn, knows what they're going to try to do. The problem is, like, he's gotten so old that he doesn't play. Like, he was a healthy scratch several times last year with the Saints. So the Lions might provide him with more of an opportunity. But, yeah, I think we're looking a little thin.
Pop quiz time.
Okay.
You want to know what DJ Swearinger's Twitter handle is?
No.
Jungle Boy Swag.
Okay, sign him. He's in.
Yeah,
I'm in.
Do it right now. Yeah. Just wanted to throw that fun that fact out there because I know once upon a time that made Scott Van Pelt laugh on air. The last thing we've got to tackle here as we kind of wind down our our review of day one action from the tampering period. Now, as we were recording, there were a few more signings right now in the wide receiver class, but it's a position that spent the day kind of moving a lot slower than I think people anticipated. So while we were in break, I believe as we were recording here on Monday, Corey Davis did sign.
Yep, 3 years, $37.5 million to the Jets.
To the Jets. Jets continue to make moves there. He's going to go join Jared Davis. And I believe Nelson Aguilar has agreed to a deal with the New England Patriots for 2 years, $26 million, which is, I think if you ask a Eagles fan about that money, they're going to be very confused. But apparently the Patriots are very desperate right now for just about anything, considering some of the signings I've seen them make today. But, Jeremy, this is still... where the Lions are concerned, there's still some options left on the table for wide receiver. Juju Smith-Schuster hasn't been signed as far as I'm speaking right now. Curtis Samuel, I believe, has not been signed, although several people in our Twitch chat have tried to troll us with fake tweets. But Curtis Samuel is still unsigned. Will Fuller still unsigned. But so are two Lions, Kenny Golladay and Marvin Jones. They're part of this free agent class that just hasn't been signed anywhere, which is interesting. It's very interesting, especially in the case of, well, in the case of both, because I think we expected Marvin Jones to very quickly find a new home. I guess I was kind of expecting Los Angeles to come knocking pretty quickly so he could keep playing with Matthew Stafford. That hasn't happened yet. And the only other update we've really had on those two comes from Josina Anderson, who tweeted, I believe, around noon Pacific, excuse me, so that would have been 3 Eastern, and said, just got off the phone right now with Lions receiver Kenny Golladay. And he says, I'm being patient right now, just enjoying the process. I'm not going to read too deep into that, but when you're probably the big name on the board after Allen Robinson gets franchise tagged and the tampering period first day is Fleury is kind of hit its first kind of lull, and you're still not signed, that's not good. And maybe teams see that he turned down, the report from the Bob Quinn era before the 2020 season, where he turns down, I believe, $18 million on an extension. I wonder if he's maybe overvaluing himself a little bit too much on the market.
It certainly reeks of that, right? And I mean, I'm not going to read too much into not signing right away. I mean, we're 8 hours into free agency when we're recording this. Like, and
maybe he is. Maybe he's letting teams come to him with bids, and then once he's got all of them in front of him. But I would imagine there's teams under the table that would have already handed him a lot of those bids by now, too.
Exactly. Yeah, there's that. And I mean, we just haven't heard much of anything. We haven't heard like what teams are really like. A lot of times you'll hear, these teams are being aggressive, and we heard a little bit of that before the free agency period started. But as soon as the clock turned over to noon, nothing on Kenny Golladay, other than him just saying, you know what, I'm being patient, I'm twiddling my thumbs, whatever. I think it was Pro Football Network that said the Jets and Dolphins are big on him. But again, that came before the tampering period even started. Once it started,
all my friends are here having a good time with me in free agency. They're laughing just out of picture.
Exactly. But I don't know. I mean, it's interesting. I think at this point we can almost guarantee Galladay's not coming back unless he comes with his hat in his hands, being like, I'm sorry, guys, I want to be back now. And he'd have to take a ridiculously low deal. And at this point, he's not going to. I mean, it doesn't matter how much his tail is in between his legs. He's not going to come back.
Yeah, and I don't think it's going to get that low either. I mean, again, from the guys we're seeing right now, Corey Davis, I believe it was a 3-year, $37.5 million deal, $27 million in guaranteed. That's still an average of over an average of $9 million a year. And then guaranteed. And ask yourself, is Kenny Golladay worth more than Corey Davis? The answer is hell yes.
Right.
So at least we've got. I think we're waiting to see what the wide receiver market comes out to be, but I cannot imagine that he's going to get paid anywhere close to that $18 million that he was being offered by the old regime. I think, maybe when the chips fall on the floor, somewhere between maybe like an 11 million or 15 million a year average.
Well, I mean, you were looking at the guaranteed for Corey Davis. His average per year is 12. I think the going rate. I meant
average. I meant guaranteed 11 million a year average. I would much rather prefer we just talk guarantee, but yeah, for the full deal, it's closer to about over 12 million for Corey Davis.
Well, yeah, yes. I mean, if we're going to compare it to the 18-19 million a year, that wasn't 18-19 million guaranteed. That was the overall deal. And so, you look at the going rates of some of the guys that have signed, whether it's Corey Davis or Nelson Aguilar or the other guy the Patriots signed. From the 49ers. The going rate's about 11, 12, 13 million a year for those guys, but it's so much it's clear that Kenny Golladay is viewed as at least one tier above pretty much all those guys. And so yeah, I think he's probably going to get in the 15, 16 million range. I'm with you. I don't think he's going to see that 18, 19 million that he was hoping for. He's certainly not going to hit the 20 million that is clearly what he wanted from the get-go.
I think him not playing as much last year really hurt him, and I don't know why he didn't play as much last year, whether it was his own camp.
There's no way. There's absolutely no way it was a business decision. I don't care what Ryan Matthews says. He was injured.
He was injured, but either way, but regardless of why it happened, he wasn't seeing the field last year.
Right.
And there's just not enough of Kenny Golladay on tape to justify 20 million a year in a contract right now for a lot of these teams. I can't see it, and I'm just wondering if, like, again, but I don't fault him for wanting 20 million, but I'm just saying the reality is at some point it's going to come down, and I don't know if as you say, Jeremy, that it's going to be hat in hand coming back to some of these teams, but it's going to be a little less than anticipated. He'll still be very rich at the end. He's still going to be very rich.
I wonder if maybe he's looking to maybe sign a short-term deal then and say, like, okay, you guys didn't believe in me this offseason. Let me prove it to you. I'll go on a 1-year, $15 million deal, then watch me, then pay for me next year. And maybe, I mean, that might be a good idea for him because obviously the teams are a little cap-strapped this year.
I could see that, but I don't think these guys contracts and this he could go out there and blow his ACL next year.
Yep.
Like it's a
risk.
It's an absolute risk. I don't know. Like the least I could see him is maybe taking 3 years, but this is all going on record. So, this is why I don't do a lot of preview stuff, but I don't know. Chances he comes back to the Lions though, still 0 for me.
Yeah. I mean, can I go in the negative? It's not going to happen.
Negative probably means you go backwards in time or something. And
he wishes he could go back in time and accept that deal from Bob Quinn. Although
I don't know if you want to stick around.
I don't know if I'd want that now retrospectively.
Yeah. I mean, but this is a lot of to recap on all this. Like this is a lot of this. There's not a lot of big signings, but I think we've been telling you guys for a few months that this is what it's going to be for the Lions. You're not going to put a lot of money on big free agents out there. You're not going to be looking to build through free agency like the previous regime did. You're not in the same spot. You're just you have to kind of bide your time. And I think once a lot of the big pieces come off the board, we're going to start to see more signings by the Lions, but they're going to be bargain bin signings. They're going to be signings on probably second or third tier guys. They're not going to be, as much as it would have been cool to get John Johnson, it's not going to come to Detroit. And Detroit, unfortunately, their reputation from Patricia is going to follow them around for a little while this free agency period. And as you mentioned, the cap situation is going to hurt things too.
And if let me leave you guys on something positive then, because the moves that the Lions have made so far, signing Tyrol Williams, signing Josh Hill, re-signing Romeo Okwara and Mike Ford and Jalen Reeves-Maben, none of those factor into the all-time favorite compensatory picks. Everyone loves them compensatory picks, but guess what? Jamal Agnew signing that big contract, that might help. Jared Davis signing a bigger than expected contract, that might help. Kenny Golladay is going to get paid, that's certainly going to help. The Lions are going to get some compensatory picks next year. I don't know if it's going to be a lot. It's probably not going to be a ton. But, I mean, when you factor in Kenny Golladay, when you factor in Marvin Jones is probably going to get at least a significant amount. And then the Lions are going to sign a bunch of bargain bin guys, potentially guys that have been cut. I mentioned LaMarcus Joyner. He's a guy that got cut. makes a lot of sense to sign. He's not going to factor in against the compensatory pick formula. If they go out and get him, well, then something you did kind of okay. You didn't spend a ton of money. You didn't lose anything towards your compensatory pick formula, and maybe you pick up a late you get a third for maybe Galladay, and again, this is coming at the end of the third, and maybe like a fifth or a sixth for the rest of the guys combined.
Yeah, I don't. As much as I'd love to believe, Jeremy, it feels like it's been forever since the Lions got a compensatory pick.
It's been 5 years.
Yeah, 5 years.
And how those 5 years have gone, Chris. That's the reason. That's the reason the Lions were bad. They weren't getting compensatory picks, Chris.
Yeah, you weren't getting your that's the real key. Yep. Real key to building a winning way like the Patriot way is getting compensatory picks. No, look, I don't think they're going to get that high on a compensatory pick because it just seems like the Lions just don't get the benefit of compensatory picks. Maybe I'm wrong.
It's a formula. There's no bias, Chris.
Yes, there is.
Okay.
Math is always biased. But no, I'll bet you they're probably not going to get. They're not going to get higher than a fifth at some point from some of the stuff. I mean, even Kenny Galladay.
I will bet you right now. I will bet you right now, sir.
It'd be hard to do. I think this is where we're going to wrap it up, though. If you're watching on Twitch and YouTube, we'll stick around and chat with you guys a little bit more. But we want to make this one a little dense. I think we still went longer than we anticipated for the podcast form of this preview, but. Stick around. We're going to have more throughout the week as free agency rolls along. We're in the one busy flurry before a bit of a quiet and then another busy flurry. The NFL offseason is so damn weird. And it's very start and stop. It keeps you on your toes. So we'll be back to react to any big news that happens with the Lions next time on the Pride of Detroit PODcast. And as always, we'll see you Starside. All right. Let's see here.
Let me
see people all want to make some bets already. Joshua Mercer wants to make bets. Chris, the problem is we were building half-ass with church or compensatory picks. No, I agree with that. I don't know. I haven't seen a comp pick in forever, so I'm.
Two different people in the combined chat. I got a Kenny to the Dolphins and a KG signing with the Cowboys. Everyone relax. Stop lying to me.
Can you guys please check for the blue check mark? Please look for the blue check mark. Unlike Jeremy, please look for the blue check mark.
Stop it. I wanted to thank real quick. Who did I miss? There was someone that subbed. Gillyman with the tier 1 sub. Appreciate you.
Manny, everyone's probably in on the Dolphins right now. They're in on them doesn't mean a signing, though.
Yeah. No report has been made about Kenny Galladay, and fingers crossed it doesn't happen overnight. Otherwise, no. the back half of that podcast. Anyways.
I'm not cutting anything.
Why is Tyrol Crosby not a starter yet? That dude rules. I like it. I like Tyrod Crosby as a person a lot, but he's just kind of okay. I think his best served as a backup to both left and right tackle, and that has value. Like you're lucky if both your right and left tackle stay healthy all year. It doesn't happen much, but I don't know if he should really be a starter.
There we go.
We two boxing. Let me get all this stuff out of the way.
Two boxing, yeah. The bots were surprisingly good today, so that's always good.
If KG goes to the Dolphins, I'll feel bad to watch him fall on his face after Tua can't get him the ball. Wow, Joshua. Some Tua hate.
That's true. That's very true.
I'll let that one Simon slide because you're obviously being silly. Lions are signing Ninja essentially for 4 years, $69 million, but I do think I'm going to start cutting down with fake things in the chat. I
am shocked by the Aguilar deal. I'm really shocked by the Aguilar deal.
Hey, we got an actual super chat from Apex this time. This super chat is for real. $5. He says the super chat is for real. Unlike the two at the beginning in that tweet, free agent going as expected so far. I like everything Brand Holmes has done. Yeah, I don't think I can hate on anything. I do kind of wish that they had managed to get John Johnson, but the more I think about the LaMarcus Joyner option, and now I'm putting all my eggs in the LaMarcus Joyner thing, it makes sense. He played well for the Rams for a few years, and again, doesn't count against the compensatory formula since the Raiders cut him. And I think Raiders fans would laugh if the Lions signed him to a deal because he was so bad with the Raiders. But again, they had him primarily at nickel, and I think he serves better as a safety.
Did you get the Apex Predator super chat in there?
That's what I was just talking about.
Okay. Just making sure, because I was distracted by something in Twitch chat, so I apologize.
We did forget to talk about Prater. So let's talk about him real quick. That's fine. There's nothing solid. So in case you missed it, Dave Burkett said, based on what he's hearing, he thinks the Cardinals could be in on Matt Prater. And so I don't know. Me and Eric talked about this a little bit in our free agency preview, and we talked about it here on the podcast. I think we all agree that we're willing to forgive Matt Prater for one bad year last year because he also kicked a 59-yarder game winner. He also set a career and NFL record for most 50-plus yard field goals made. He also, was just mostly good. There was just kind of a weird miss here or there. But the question is, how much do you want to spend on a kicker for 1 or 2 more years when your team's going to be ass?
Yeah, I was gonna fight back with that. It's like, yeah, that's all fairly well and good, but if he comes in and says he wants about $3 million a year, I'm gonna be like, you know what? It's nice knowing you, Matt. I don't think the Lions are in a position to be spending like that kind of money on a kicker right now, and that seems to be where some of the big kickers are landing some of their money right now.
Yeah, it's just a tough situation because the Lions just are not. It's not really a great for either side, but I think both sides also kind of want it. It's just like, it's like meeting someone who you get along with really well, who you think is going to be your mate forever, but they're already married or they're already seeing someone. It's right person, wrong time because the Lions aren't in a place to compete, and Prater is at the end of his career where here's the thing, like Prater has specifically said he wants to be back. He likes it in Detroit. His family's established there. He's got young kids. Maybe I still kind of think he ends up in Detroit.
Yeah, I think that's so too. It's always, especially when it comes to kickers, it's a lot of the devil, It's hard to find new kickers. It's hard for new kickers to go to places, to new teams and succeed. Very in a lot of times too. We see guys like Gutskowski, who is, absolutely legendary. How many teams has he gone to since he kind of left the nest? Like he's bounced around. I mean, he's getting old too. Gutskowski's almost like I believe Gutskowski is pushing like what, 40? But I mean, since leaving the Patriots, Gutskowski, he just left last year, but like he was a Titan last year. I don't think he's going to be back. Is he going to be back with the Titans?
I think he's a free agent, but I'm not entirely sure.
No, he is a free agent. I know that. But I haven't seen any news on the front of Gutskowski coming back to Tennessee.
Maybe the Patriots will bring him back as part of their massive free agency push.
Yeah, I like this tweet. But I mean, the message from Warwick is, you get 1,400 stimulus money, and Bill Belichick's like, I'll have every wide receiver. Every free.
Yeah, why? You get the feeling he wanted to do this last year, and when everyone was saying, "Go do this and get wide receivers, you dummy." But halfway through the season, didn't he pull like we didn't have the salary cap to be able to make moves argument?
Who controls that, Bill? Who controls that in New England?
They went all in apparently in 2019.
Okay. Neat. Neat, Bill. Let's see what else. Not as much is happening as I kind of anticipated.
With the Lions? What did you expect? Or you just
I know that, but I mean overall right now. I'm just kind of trying to look at some trackers like
chat. Let me ask a question to chat. Let me get you guys involved, chat. What do you think was the best signing today? Not just Lions, best in terms of like fit, value, all that sort of stuff. Give me your best deal and your worst deal of the day. Lefty Detroit with the 12 months. He's been subscribed for a year. Lefty, you freaking legend. Thank you for the sub. Appreciate it, man.
I was going to say that the Joe Thuney signing was fascinating. Kansas City Chief putting former Patriot on a 5-year deal kind of after they blew up some of their offensive line.
Are they going to play him at tackle? Because he's been a guard, and
yeah,
but he got like a massive deal, didn't he? How much was it worth?
Huge
5
deal.
year, $80 million.
Yeah, but like that's coming after two things. One, the Kansas City Chiefs losing a couple of their offensive line for free agency, and then two, but then they see that, and then they immediately the restructure comes in, which the Mahomes deal is going to get restructured every year. I feel like it's going to get restructured every year. And they immediately bring in Joe Thuney because we were already, I'll tell you this from the national stage, we were looking at what was happening with guys leaving on the offensive line and worrying about Mahomes because guess where he got let down in the Super Bowl was offensive line play.
Yep.
Not good. But then this is the kind of signing you kind of have to make to fix that. I just don't know. I don't know if they'll be able to play him at guard. It's a hell of a lot of money for a guard and not, when playing tackle is, I don't know.
A lot of people saying Agnew is the worst signing. A lot of people seem to be saying, what was the one that a lot of people like the John Johnson signing for the Browns. Yeah.
No, that was a good signing. I think the Browns are kind of here to stay in the NFC North. I just don't see the Bengals overtaking them, and I'm sorry, the Steelers are going to fall apart very soon. We'll see. So all they really need to do is compete against the Ravens.
Unleashed, I'm going to give you a warning here. No fake news in the chat, please.
Yeah, what do you feel about? I see some people saying, talk about Yannick Ngakoue, who signed 2 years, $26 million with the Raiders.
I missed that completely. I didn't even know that happened, honestly.
Yeah.
Oh, it looks like Bud Dupree is going to the Titans. So some pass rushers coming off the board here. I mean,
yeah, the Leonard Floyd signing was pretty surprising. I know I saw some Bears fans kind of hoping he'd come back to Chicago, maybe. I don't know, but
I don't know what I think of Ngakoue. Like, I mean, yeah, I think that was a bigger deal than I expected with Leonard Floyd. I think he's a good player. But
yeah,
but I mean, edges just get a lot of money, which is again why if Romeo Okwara turns out to be half as good as he was last year consistently, the Lions could potentially have a steal on their hands. I'm not ready to believe that, but they could.
Yeah, and it's only 3 years, so I'm not going to worry too much about it too. Like, again, this team's going to be in those 3 years probably not going too many places except maybe on year 3. Floyd got overpaid. I don't think Floyd got overpaid. I really don't. These guys are going to, as Jeremy said, edges are going to come at a premium, and clearly the Rams are pushing all the chips in, even though I know Jeremy's joked that we say that every year about the Rams, and they keep finding more chips to push to the center of the table. But, I mean, they got Stafford. Their defense was one of the best in the league last year. I would try to keep as many pieces as I could of that defense around if I was the Rams.
Someone had mentioned more about Jamal Agnew's deal, and it looks like Spot Track has his whole deal up. So if you guys want to see it, I'll show it to you. It actually doesn't look that bad. So only a $1 million base salary this year. The signing bonus was $3.5 million. So spread that out over 3 years. It's only 1.2 million per year against the cap. So his cap it's actually really, really low. His roster bonus is low. So only 2.6 against the cap this year. Bumps up pretty significantly to 5.6 next year. But if they want to get out of it, they save over $3 million. They only take on a $2.3 million dead cap. So it could realistically just be a 1 year deal, and you only take on just over $2 million in dead cap next year. And then if they like him, if he plays really well, maybe he earns that deal, and then you can get out even after 2022. Only 1.2 million in dead cap, almost save 5 million. So it's a very team friendly deal. When they said it was incentive laden, this is what we're talking about right here. Not a lot of cap hit right away. If it works out, then they're going to be in a good spot. If not, they'll take on a moderate to small cap hit. So not too bad.
Patriots gave Matthew Judon 4 years, $56 million.
Yeah, I'm telling you,
guaranteed. Wow.
Edges.
Do you see the what was it? The Cory Lindsay deal? Linsley deal?
No.
5 years, $62 million to the Chargers, $17 million fully guaranteed at signing.
Okay.
I mean, that's good. That's good if you're Justin Herbert. I mean, not that the Lions are probably on the market for a center. I'm just gonna keep an eye on that stuff just because I'm curious how much centers will get paid. Because I don't. When is Ragnow's contract up?
They're gonna have to decide on his 5th-year option this year.
I think that's a no-brainer to pick up, right?
Yeah. It's gonna be kind of expensive because of the new CBA rules. I think
we
wrote an article. Yeah,
cap hit, I believe.
Something like that. Does Romeo count against a compensatory pick since he was re-signing? No. Nope. It's only about players you add or lose, not people you re-sign.
Pats just signed Nelson Aguilar. Yeah, we talked about that. We talked Nelson Aguilar getting signed with the Patriots, which again is crazy. I know enough Philadelphia guys that if I'm sure I could probably go text Anthony Gargano, who is on the air for The Fanatic in Philadelphia, their big sports talk radio station, and he'll probably send me just like a bunch of texts of expletives about that on like how the hell did Aguilar get that money?
When did the Cory Lindsay thing go down? I completely missed that one too. Did that just happen?
I think it was a couple hours ago.
Man, I'm lost. Wait, has he signed?
I saw it on ESPN.
Okay.
Yeah. Cory Lindsay signed with the Chargers.
I missed it. My bad. How much was it? Did you say again? Sorry.
5-year deal. Let me find the numbers again. 5-year deal for. Excuse me. Where is it? Where'd it go? 5 years, 62 million, 17 million guaranteed upon signing.
Low guarantee numbers, but that's what is that? 12, a little over 12 a year.
12.5 million average. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see here. And the deal is even better than that for the player who gets 13 million signing bonus, a fully guaranteed 4 million salary in 2021, a 9 million salary in 2022 that's injury guaranteed at signing and converts to a full guarantee on the second day of the 2022 league year. Which means that unless they cut him before this time next year, the Chargers will have paid Linsley $17 million for 1 year.
Okay. What do you guys say Reeves-Maybin doesn't have a chance to start at linebacker? Our core is pretty terrible. Yes, it is pretty terrible right now, but a couple of reasons. One is I don't expect them to play a lot of linebackers at once like they did last year. I think they're going to go heavy on their defensive front or heavy with their defensive backs. I think there's a lot of times you're only going to see one or two guys out there, and the line's just recommitted to Jamie Collins a little bit, so he's going to be in there a lot. They might try. I don't know what their plans are going to be with Jelani Tavai. I don't know. You're right though. I mean, at this point, if the roster was exactly like it is right now, then yeah, I would say Jalen Reeves-Maybin has a shot. But there's 6 months until the first week of football is going to be played, and I think they're going to add some talent there, and it's probably going to be better than Jalen Reeves-Maybin. He might get a shot in camp though. Maybe I'm discounting him a little too much, but I'd be surprised.
Did we talk about Shaq Barrett on a previous podcast?
I don't know. Maybe.
So I know he resigned with Tampa, and I'm just trying to remember why I had heard the name. Why the name Shaq Barrett is stuck in my mind from a show I did. It was either this podcast or one of the radio shows I do. I just don't know why the name Shaq Barrett is lodged in my mind. Why he could have possibly be in the news before I saw him re-signing with Tampa.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. My brain is just it's lodged on something.
Is it me, or can you find a more than competent center for less than 8 figures a year? Maybe you can. I don't think it's that easy. I think centers are hard to find, and they're extremely important.
I've held on for as long as I've been with Pride of Detroit that center is so damn important that you always like that. Offensive line is we're seeing, especially with the with the Chiefs, how important an offensive line is. But that starts with your center. That starts with the guy who is in charge of snapping the ball to your quarterback, and it starts with basically like the strong center of that line. Like centers are damn. I think someone asked me a while back, like why isn't there a massive trade market for centers like there are for quarterbacks? Why don't teams spend first round draft picks to trade for a good center? And the secret is nobody wants to give up their good linemen. If you have good offensive linemen, teams don't want to get teams are like, yeah, they're not for sale. They're just not.
A couple of people I've seen mention Malik Hooker as a potential safety, and here's the thing. I don't know how much you want to mess around with someone who tore his Achilles.
Yeah.
That's a serious injury. It's as serious of an injury as you really get in this league. He was a guy who was playing okay in Indy, but even before the Achilles tear, they had declined his 5th-year option, so he wasn't someone that was wowing them in Indy necessarily. It's I don't know. It's tough. Because you see it's Jared Davis but a better situation. You're circling a former first round pick again. You're just like, maybe he just needs a change of scenery. He's only going to be 25 this year. He didn't play poorly in Indy. I mean,
yeah.
He only has how many interceptions in his career? Okay, he has 7. That's not bad. That's for 4 years. That's pretty good for a safety. And I don't know. It's tough. It all depends on the deal. It all depends on the deal he's looking for. I get there's huge upside there. There's no question there's huge upside there, but it's a risk. It's a huge risk. And I can't in good faith say that it would necessarily get me excited, but I would see the upside there. And I see why a lot of you are spamming his name.
Yeah, I see DeHanish has him in like Juju Smith-Schuster as an option. I think when it comes to Juju, I just don't think you're going to get him at a cheap deal.
I do.
Like, you do?
I think a lot of people are worried about his attitude.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I mean, for what, dancing on logos?
I mean, it's beyond that. I mean, like, I felt like he was an issue with the Steelers from once he took over as wide receiver 1, like, paradise was over in there, man. Like,
I don't know. I could see the Raiders. Like, if the Raiders want Juju, they're not going to give a damn about attitude. But maybe that's just because that's who Gruden is. I know the Raiders are probably showing interest for Juju right now. I just, I don't know. Like, I could see Juju leaving. From what I'm gathering too, is just everyone just seems to be in a bad place when it comes to the Steelers right now. Like, that just doesn't seem like a very healthy locker room. Yeah, as Warwick points out, Juju had to deal with Ben.
We can't just blame everything on Ben Roethlisberger. I know we'd
yes,
like
we
to.
Can.
I know we'd love
yes,
to.
Yes, we can.
I know I am no Ben Roethlisberger fan, but I mean, what you gonna blame Antonio Brown's clear mental health issues on him?
No. Is it mental health issues? I don't know what's in AB's head. I don't care.
RC Vader, thank you for the Twitch Prime for 4 months now. Appreciate that. And I think I missed Monty with the tier 1 subscription as well. Appreciate it.
Listen, Juju went to USC, so I'm going to be in favor of Juju. If you guys can do the Michigan stuff all the time, I'm gonna bring this.
Do I do the Michigan stuff all the time?
No, some of our fan base does.
Oh, $100 bits from Nick the Greek. Hold on, let me read it before I say it out loud. Screw it. Juju and Wayne Fonts have the same Coke dealer.
Settle down just a little bit. Settle down.
Yikes. Anyways, I have a lot of work to do, so I think we're probably going to close this up. I'm going to write some stuff about, like, best options available for the Lions, maybe most realistic options for the Lions. Might throw some grades down. We'll see. It's hard to do grades when deals aren't totally official yet.
One more
Okay.
from, if we can take it from YouTube, because we've kind of treated YouTube the past few weeks as a redheaded stepchild.
Well, they've treated themselves like that. Let's be honest.
That's true. Adam O. So he gives us, he says here, Curtis Samuel, Quan, or Keanu Neil. Discuss.
I think Curtis Samuel's going to be too expensive.
Yeah, he's gonna be pricey.
Quan Alexander. I don't know. I haven't. It's another
Saints connection there.
There is the Saints connection. He was a cap casualty. The Lions need help at linebacker. The question is, how much are they willing to spend? I think the issue here is that we're looking at top tier guys, and
yeah,
cap casualty here also means, again, it fits into the compensatory thing where it won't cost the Lions anything in terms of compensatory pick formula. But I don't know. Let me think
pull up
on
their
it.
spot tracks just to kind of look at what they've done as far as, because like I could maybe see the idea of, like, I'm trying to remember how much Keanu Neal's been getting paid, and I know he's on the older side. Because he would be what? He's going to be what? He's going to be 28, 27? I think 28.
DeskJet says, Deuce interview was awesome. Do you plan on any other coaches? I will say I've been in talks with the Lions about some other coaches. I can't. We haven't confirmed any yet.
Can't talk about anything.
I'm hoping. The answer to your question is hopefully.
We're also looking at, if you guys have any ideas too, like as far as like guys you want to see, I would like to expand it beyond just, we've had a lot of Lions beat guys on, and I just, I'd like to expand it as much as we can and start. Keanu Neil is a free agent. He is an unrestricted free agent right now. CJ Craig. No, so someone like outside. I don't know. Like I think we've got chances to get some new guys in during this off season. We're just trying to find a good time too, because as we said, this is a busy period for the calendar, and the next month will be busy again with some flexibility, right? Like leading into the draft. And I know that I want to go heavy on draft stuff this year, just because I feel like it's just going to be such a big piece of how the Lions are going to rebuild.
One minor news note before we jump out here, from Nick Corte of from Over the Cap. So knows his contract stuff. This is on the Jamal Agnew contract. He says at a base average per year of $4.75 million. This is solidly a 6th round valued in the contract in the compensatory pick formula. So if the Lions don't add a whole bunch of players to offset that are free agents that weren't released, the Lions could theoretically pick up a 6th round pick for letting Jamal Agnew.
Day 3, yay! Day 3.
But you can trade them now, Chris. You can trade them to move.
Day 3 trading picks, yay!
Hey, what did we get? Damon Harrison for? 5th round pick.
Okay.
Listen, we haven't had compensatory picks in a long time, Chris. Let us be excited.
I know. I just, pretty much as long as I've been doing this podcast. Any word when the locker room app will be coming to Android? No, I wish I knew, because then I'd be able to join Jeremy and Eric and Ryan too.
Yeah, the only thing I can tell you is that the locker room app Twitter account specifically said that it's coming. It's coming. They specifically said they couldn't give a timeline, but it's coming.
Yeah.
Tom Brady was a day 3. Did you know that, Chris?
Shut up.
The new Lions quarterback is going to come because of the Jamal Agnew compensatory pick. Mark my words. Next year, 6th round pick, Detroit Lions franchise quarterback. He's going to be a Hall of Famer.
Do you know how hard that, like, I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to say anything because I have to do national sports talk radio, and I have to hear those kind of takes from people all the time about how you find the best guys late in the draft, and that it's just so bleeping easy. You just go get yourself another Tom Brady, go get another guy who fell through the cracks, that it's so easy. It's so flipping easy to do that. It's just so easy.
Yeah. Okay. So we agree. It's easy. Cool. All right. Let's go.
Easy a caveman can do it.
Let's go raid someone. Do we want to raid Reno again? We could raid Reno's wife. We could raid someone who's been friendly with us on Twitch, Cortilli. She's playing some Valorant.
You should go to Reno's wife.
No fake reports, Jeremy. What was it? I wasn't fake reporting anybody. What are they doing? It looks like... I don't know what Reno the wife is doing. I should probably pull up her Twitch.
Reno's wife is playing Stardew Valley. That's like what she mainly plays. Alex is playing Valorant.
Keep the streaming going. I can't. I need to do work.
Yeah, I think we might do something for next time too, where, like, I don't know. Well, we're talking about some stuff. So.
Raid POD. I can't raid myself. Stream yourself doing work. No, you do not want to see that. Reno's looking for a staff badge.
Chat will help you write it. Twitch plays Pride of Detroit. Twitch plays Chorus.
That's just a horrible idea, because you guys would see all of my misspelling. You guys would see all of my, like, double checking of facts that I should probably already know. Things like that. No, you don't get to see that. You don't get to see that. You want to do a poll? Okay, but I'm not including watching me do work as a poll. I don't want to feel watched. Who should we raid? Reno, Valorant, Reno's wife, Stardew. What is it?
Zeus has been on like a Pokemon Nuzlocke challenge, but he's not streaming right now. But he's been on like a hardcore challenge for a few days, but he's not on right now.
Velo. Yeah, I don't really feel like raiding anyone else. I'm not really close with anyone else.
You can blow it up. No one's gonna care.
No raid. All right, you got 2 minutes to vote. We'll dick around for 2 minutes.
No raid. None.
No, you guys are not going to watch me. It's not an option. If you want, I mean, you can abstain from voting if you want. What?
Wive and Valoran.
Because I ran out of characters, and I'm an idiot. See, this is why I don't want to see me writing articles, because I make stupid mistakes like that, and I don't care.
Carl Lawson to the Jets for 3 years. Is this right? If you give me another fake one, I'm going to be really mad. Source, no. There's rap sheet. That's agreed to terms of Bengals pass rusher Carl Lawson.
15 million. So no, I mean, if you want to do no raid, it just means I'm ending the stream. That's it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you're looking at all these pass rushing deals. Okwara came out the cheapest so far.
Yep.
To recap, Patriots have signed Jonnu Smith, Nelson Aguilar, Kendrick Bourne, Matthew Judon, Henry Anderson, Devon Gajo, Jalen Mills, also re-upped Carl Davis, and Dietrich Wise. I didn't see the Wise thing. I don't know what does that mean, CJ Craig? Ty goes to Reno the wife. I think I agree with you there. Or you guys still have about 30 seconds to vote. It's a tie between Reno's wife and no raid, which just means I'm ending the stream. To be clear,
CJ Craig, I don't know how to read that. What do you mean?
Yeah, I don't know what that means.
No, I know. I think I know what it means, but I'm just. I think I have no comment.
Listen, we've rated Alex a couple times.
Yeah, we've rated Alex
He's
too
fine.
much. He needs to start coming on the podcast for us to keep rating him.
I did invite him today too. True story.
And he's playing Valorant.
And he wanted. Well, I invited him while he was playing Valorant, so he was already streaming technically. All right, We're rating Reno the Wife. It is decided. Everyone here on Twitch, go enjoy Reno the Wife. So go say hi. Say a bunch of football stuff that she won't understand, or just be a nice person and hang out and say nice things, because that's what you should do. Be nice people. Represent Pride of Detroit well, wherever we
Red Baron Snoopy on YouTube says Jeremy sings while combing his stash and doesn't want any witnesses.
No comment. No comment. All right. Thank you to everyone who hung out on YouTube, everyone who hung out on Twitch. We'll probably be back tomorrow as long as there's some news, Lions related. If not, probably Wednesday. But yeah, until then, enjoy. If you missed anything, we'll be back up on the podcast.
Lions Blood 20. Any guesses where Trubisky ends up? In hell.
The CFL/XFL combo. All right, bye everybody.
YouTube. We still on YouTube?
For a second.
Yep, I was going to say, Mike Doyle, quarterback Tyrod Taylor coming to Detroit, yes or no? No.
Too
Tyrod
expensive.
Taylor is... What?
Too expensive. Get him out of here.
He is on that path to becoming one of the glorified journeyman quarterbacks of this league.
I get the appeal of having a guy who knows Anthony Lynn's system, but...
Too expensive.
That's
people want to pay him money. He's the next Fitzpatrick. Guys are going to be like, I can fix Tyrod Taylor, or he's good enough to be like a tier 3 quarterback. Tyrod Taylor is going to be a journeyman in this league. If he doesn't like get his arm blown off in a freak accident or whatever is going on with his luck.
True. All right. Goodbye, YouTube.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks for hanging out.